Greetings. I'm Father Robbie Favazza, current pastor of St. Philip the Apostle Catholic Church in Somerville, Tennessee. It is my privilege to introduce the St. Philip's 40th anniversary video. You're about to hear testimonies from parishioners, priests, and deacons that have built up this wonderful parish over the past 4 decades, along with some very special commemorative photos. Enjoy.
I've been coming here to St. Philip's since 1980, actually Super Bowl Sunday 1980. Of course, when I came to St. Philip's, it wasn't called St. Philip's then. It was the Fayette County Mission. A couple years later, they changed it to St. Philip's. Of course, I wasn't the first people here because before 1980, a couple years before, they've been holding this Mass at St. Thomas Episcopal Church in Somerville. It's a beautiful church. Lots of stories about what went on in that, the wasps in the summer and the coldness in the winter, and in fall and spring. It was a nice experience. But anyways, the first thing you notice when you attended Mass at St. Philip's, or at St. Thomas in this case, these people sang. They really sang. Kind of blame it on the Johnson family, who were really steadfast singers, but you had to hand it to the whole congregation, which wasn't that many people, but everybody sang. Just about everybody sang.
I was one of the first parishioners at the St. Thomas Episcopal Church in Somerville, Tennessee. And that was back in 1975 and 1976 at that time. I said the church was a beautiful church, but it had no AC, very hot during the summer, and also very cold because all we had was, I think, space heaters during the winter time. But that's okay, we struggled through all those. And like I say, Father Oglesby was our priest, and later Father Victor, We moved from the Episcopal Church to our groundbreaking of this new St. Philip's Church. And this was done with Father Oglesby here, and Linda Carneal was the first to break the ground, and many of us followed afterwards. I was also present for the dedication of the church. The church was growing and moving along at a very rapid pace, and about that time the nuns, Sister Eileen, Sister Bridget, Sister Mairead came and to help us move forward with our church and the community. During this time I worked with the corporate office of Fred's and discount chains. When the nuns arrived, they had very little for housekeeping. Mr. Charles Badur, I explained the situation to Mr. Charles Badur, who was one of the owners of the company. They had nothing really to set housekeeping up, so to my surprise, he filled my car up, the trunk and the floorboards, the back seat and the front seat with all kinds of bathroom items, kitchen items, and cooking utensils. And this was a really big for them to get started and set up a new housekeeping, that sort of thing.
We've been at St. Philip's for a day or two.
A long time, since about 1980, I guess.
Yeah.
We weren't married but 3 years when we started coming here, so married in 77. And we watched them build the church. I'd go down the highway to St. Thomas and come back, and I'd say, Brian, it's going to be round. It's going to be a round church. Because our favorite church in traveling is in Cherokee, and it's round, so that was kind of cool. And one of the things I remember about Father Victor, one of the greatest things he did was bringing in the 3 nuns that he brought in, Sister Mairead, Sister Eileen, and Sister Bridget, who actually started Fayette Cares. And boy, did they do some work about, helping this county come from being one of the poorest counties in the, they didn't help the economic side, I guess, but they helped the people, the mothers. They did a parenting class. They went and picked up people all over the county in a van. It was pretty off the street. It was pretty crazy, but they were awesome ladies. and they will always be remembered.
Everybody volunteered because they saw the originals volunteering or doing things, and it just became a real movement of people working together, and it was different things. Halloween was a funny kind of a party.
One of, I guess, my involvement was in music, and we had a team, and one of the girls' husband used to call us the Three Nuns because we were up here just about every night, and we'd stay and practice and practice. Susie Johnson, Louise Marino, myself, and then Lynn came along, and there were several others, Marianne Alley, and Joni Higdon, best soprano. Oh, she was like an angel. But music was always, is a good memory for me. We had good times. We even had wine at practice sometimes.
I'm Dorothy Gervasi of St. Philip the Apostles Catholic Church, and I came to the church in February of 1996. And it was a day to remember. I was overjoyed with these people. We walked in and we had the stations. And of course we did have a few more to come because it was 7 o'clock. And we walked. We followed Charles and Margaret down the aisle and we said the stations. How you walked 40 miles, the 40 days of Lent. And we started that Friday here at St. Philip the Apostle Catholic Church.
Well, when we first started coming, it was like we said, it was a small group. We just had the church, just the sanctuary, and where the organ is where the kitchen was, and anything that took place in the main sanctuary, and anything that was going to go about, lunchings, potlucks, everyone participated. We had so much
And it was all in the
food.
sanctuary.
Yes, everything. We had folding chairs. The chairs would be moved about as we needed it, and it was just always family. I know the Martha and Mary ministry, Dot Gervasi and Rosemary Johnson. I know when my mom was ill, they would come to the hospital, give her communion, check to see how we were, and then when her passing, the lunching and the outpouring love and support was just overwhelming. So the Martha and Mary ministry here at St. Philip's was wonderful then and is so supportive now.
I wasn't Catholic when me and Sharon got married, and I converted to Catholicism. And I had been converted about a month, and Sister Maria was out here at the time. And they took volunteers to mow the grass. So I volunteered. So one Friday evening, I'm out here mowing, and Sister Maria comes up, and I see her when she pulls up. She got out, she waved at me, and she went in the church. Well, here in a few minutes, she come out of the church and started waving at me to come over there. So I go over there, and she said, I bought some beer and put it in the refrigerator if you want one. And the first thing that popped in my head was, is this a test? Because I was raised in a Baptist church. Well, I didn't say anything to her, but that Sunday I asked her about it, and she said, well, it's not a sin to drink beer. It's a sin to get drunk. I'll never forget that.
Hi, my name is Gwendolyn Collins. I've been a member of St. Philip, the Apostle Catholic Church, ever since it was a mission. My memories are how the Walses ran us out of the church in Somerville, and how we used to have to bring the statues to Mass and then take them out at the end of Mass. My fondest memory of St. Philip's in Warren, Tennessee, is my daughter, my baby girl, crowned the Blessed Virgin Mary, something I wanted to do while I was going to school. I didn't have a chance, but she did, and she was a happy young girl.
My first great memory was I was sitting at my kitchen table thinking, what am I doing here? I really want to go home, home being Las Vegas. And I remember my phone rang, and it was somebody from the church, St. Philip's, inviting me to come help them put on the Hispanic program. I couldn't get here fast enough, and I remember driving in thinking, God just told me I was home. And that's what St. Philip's became to me, my home, my parish family, my everything. The Hispanic Ministries, which is also something I'm a part of, has been such an inspiration to me, not only in teaching, but in learning from the Hispanic community that has been here. I have watched it grow. It has become such an intense part of St. Philip's.
Cuando nosotros vinimos había una comunidad hispana pequeña, pero yo me imagino que era también por el lenguaje, porque cuando yo vine solamente había misa en inglés. Y entonces sí vi una comunidad hispana pequeña, pero muy acogedores ellos. También me impresionó la comunidad americana, muy cariñosos, todos nos saludaron como si nos conocieran de siempre, y eso me llamó a mí mucho la atención, la manera de recibirnos y esa unión fraterna que yo no había experimentado en otro lugar. Y aquí, sí, todos nos saludaron, nos recibieron, y el lenguaje no importó. Ellos con una sonrisa, y eso nos hizo sentir también muy bien. Pues yo veo la comunidad hispana, los veo contentos, entusiasmados, los veo felices de estar aquí. Y pues como yo les digo siempre, vengan, esta es su casa, porque yo así la siento. Yo siento como mi casa, como la casa de mis papás. Cuando llegamos a casa de papá, todo está bien, todo está tranquilo, se siente uno especial, y yo así los veo también a ellos. Yo los veo contentos de venir. Veo también cómo interactúa la comunidad de habla inglés con la comunidad de habla hispana, y eso es algo que también me llama a mí mucho la atención, porque no hay esa división de idiomas. Aquí no importa la raza, no importa el lenguaje. Aquí es una sola iglesia, un mismo cuerpo, un mismo espíritu, y eso es muy bonito.
We came here, my husband and I came here to this parish in 2008. We moved because of our children being down here and wanted to be close to our grandchildren. And our first Sunday here at this parish, we had not moved in a new home at that time. And Father John was here then, and he asked anyone visiting the parish to stand up and introduce themselves. So my husband did, and he said, well, why are you here? And my husband said, to move to be with our children. He said, well, why would you move to Somerville? At that time, there was only an 8:30 Mass on Sunday morning, and after the Ladies' Guild had their meeting after the Mass, and I thought, well, I'll go to one of those meetings. And that happened to be the Sunday they were electing officers, and I thought, oh gosh. So they asked if I would take an office, and I said, no, I don't want one. I don't know anybody. And somebody said, well, that's a good way to find out who the people are. So Susie Tidwell took president, the office of the president, and I took vice president. And so that's how I really got started in this parish.
In 1984 through 86, I went with Franciscan sisters who were also going into the diocese. They went to Fayette County. I went to Hardman County with another sister of Mount Carmel and stayed there about 2 years. The three sisters, the Franciscan sisters who were in pastoral care there at St. Philip's, they invited me that summer in '87 to work with volunteers as they were establishing this outreach, this ecumenical outreach, and that was the beginnings of Fayette Cares there in Fayette County. And so I was there in Fayette County, there in Somerville, with this Franciscan sister who had really started the life of Fayette Cares, and I was there until '93. That was wonderful beginnings of Sister Marie, who's been a good friend of mine and died just at the beginning of the COVID difficulties in '19, had dementia towards the end of her life. But when I would speak with her on the phone, it was always a Fayette Cares connection that would bring her into memories. And I know because that was deepest in her heart, truly deepest in her heart.
We moved to St. Philip, or to Fayette County in 1993. We came to see about Lisa's grandmother after her granddad passed away, and our son was 3 years old at the time.
And we never left. Stayed here, and St. Philip is one of the big reasons why we're still here.
Yep, we found a home at St. Philip's when Lisa's grandmother passed away. Father Val Handworker was here, and he was good enough to come all the way to Middleton to do her funeral, and that was kind of the beginning of Lisa becoming a Catholic as well.
Yes, he doesn't know that, but thank you, Monsignor Val, because you know, from being out here and this non-Catholic girl taught PRE, and it just one thing morphed into another, and he's really a big reason why I became a Catholic. But it's just the St. Philip culture. It's you know, just everything about it. It's always been home. It's always been welcoming. It's always had wonderful, hardworking people, and it's just a wonderful place to be.
We're the Blomays. I'm the deacon here at the one of the deacons here at the church. And my wife Peggy, who's very active, and Sister Jean, who you probably have heard of already. She was when I came into the room, she knew who I was, and so her comment was, "Would everybody please stand up and welcome our new parishioner, Mike Blomay?"
You want to call it the little church that could. No matter what we needed, our people came forward to give their helping hand to make it happen. Even though we're growing, and you can tell by all the young people that are coming to St. Philip's, especially at the 10:30 Mass, I still feel like we're a small town church and very intimate. People that come here realize our friendliness and our compassionate nature and just our caring attitude.
Well, I'm so happy to be here today to reminisce about the days at St. Philip's when I first got here in 1984. And I was talking this over with my husband last night, and I said, remember in 1984 when we first got here and we came to Mass, I remember a woman coming up to me and taking my hands and looking up at me and saying, "Another pair of hands." So I knew I must be in the right place because I'm always ready to work. And I think she spotted me right away that I was another pair of hands. But there were a few families here. I think when I first got here, there were about 65 families. And it was interesting that over a period of about 10, 15 years after I first got here, we stayed right at 65 families. A family would move away and one would move in. Two would move away and two would come in, and we stayed right at 65. It was amazing. We were looking at the numbers. And so in all that time, however, there was, I think, a great spiritual growth here in in the parish, the members of the congregation were all working together in so many projects, whether it was Thanksgiving baskets or working with Fayette Cares. I think when I first got here, Catholics came to St. Philip's and then they went home. They came for Mass and then they went home. They came for Mass and then they went home. But I never saw, for several years, any of my fellow Catholics in the community. And that has changed. We're everywhere in all kinds of community and civic organizations throughout the community, and so I'm blessed to see them every time I participate in some of these. And this includes, besides Fayette Cares, the Chamber of Commerce, the Carl Perkins Center, all these kinds of organizations that require people to give of themselves. We see folks from St. Philip's giving of themselves and giving of our faith, sharing our faith wherever we go.
Hello, I'm Father Stephen Kenny, currently serving as the pastor of St. Paul's the Apostle in Whitehaven. I served here for 9 years as a pastor, and it was a wonderful time. I had been pre-exposed to the parish when I was at St. Francis of Assisi, because the priest there would come out on a regular basis. So it was quite nice to already have an introduction to mainly the people here. The other accomplishment in a larger universal way was I actually had journeyed over to Rome to visit a very good friend of mine who's stationed there. And I asked Father Jesse about going to the location where they will give you relics, because we did not have a relic here at St. Philip's when I was here. And he said, oh, we can take care of that. And actually one of his colleagues was in the same room at the time, and Father Jesse asked, and that priest said, yes, we do have relics. Who would you like? And I kind of said, I would love St. Philip. And he goes, okay, we have St. Philip. And it was just such a moving thing, because not only then, I'd also go and celebrate Mass at the tomb of St. Philip's, remembering this parish. And so the connectivity of us as a universal church, that worldwide church, is so important. That makes us one, holy, Catholic, and apostolic. And it was just such a moving event to be able to bring that relic here to the United States of America, to this great little parish. I have always and will always hold St. Philip's very fondly in my heart, and I always enjoy my time when I do come out and visit, and getting to see people again and catching up with their lives. This is a wonderful little parish. It's not so little anymore. I know it's grown and continues to grow in so many ways, and has a very important part in the larger community here as well. And that's another great thing about St. Philip's and their larger participation in the Fayette County community, which is a very beautiful reality of a real great ecumenical way to be a part of this larger community of Fayette County. I certainly want to wish and pray that the next 40 years are as great as the first 40. May God continue to bless St. Philip's, not only in their growth, but in their spiritual lives as well, in their journey of faith. God bless.
Tom and I have been a part of this parish for a little over 4 years, and we were new to the community. We moved here from a very large parish, and we decided that we were going to visit some parishes and make a decision on where to go. And immediately, St. Philip was our home. We knew that right from the start. It was so welcoming and so small, very small compared to our old parish. But quickly, we got to meet so many people in this parish. They welcomed us with open arms, and I just love it here. I love it.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that what Nancy commented on, the support. Us teaching PRE or working with the youth or the Knights of Columbus or what it is, the consistent message in this parish has always been there's people there to help and support you. I work, on the lawn crew, and if you can't make it, there's always somebody there to back up. I'm a member of the Knights of Columbus, I'm an usher, but make no mistake about it, whatever ministry we've been involved in, what we have found consistently is there's people there to support, people there to help, and as Nancy said, with open arms.
Since St. Philip's has grown substantially since my involvement there years ago, it's possible that some of you do not know who I am. My name is Monsignor Peter Buchanany. I'm a native Memphian, and when I was pastor at St. Francis of Assisi Church, I want to say, I don't know the year, but sometime in the early 2000s, we began to go out to Somerville to do regular Sunday Mass. We did that for a good number of years. So I am honored and happy to be able to be a part of St. Philip's 40th anniversary. And I say that because I imagine that in 10 years, you're going to want to do a magnificent blow-up, I should say blowout, for your 50th, and there's a good chance I won't be around. So I'm honored to be able to offer a few words at this time. My first recollection of St. Philip's was probably around 81 or 82 when Bishop Dozier came out to dedicate, to bless the new church. I was his, what we call Master of Ceremonies. That is, I directed the ceremonies for the bishop. Those are the days when I had hair. And so I recall the church was small, but I was very impressed by its beauty. And I was impressed by the fact that another community in the Diocese of Memphis had taken roots years ago, but was again growing in number. When I came to St. Francis, Bishop Stibe was our bishop. And I mentioned one day to Bishop Stibe that St. Francis would be willing and capable of doing Sunday Mass at St. Philip's. If I recall, the priest from St. Louis was coming out to do Mass and could no longer do so. So that began a relationship that I personally valued. I remember one Sunday telling the people at St. Philip that you are truly growing and it will only be a short time before you get a full-time pastor. And the reason I know that is because you recently opened your first McDonald's restaurant. Of course, everybody laughed, but that was showing how quickly the Oakland area was growing. And sure enough, I recall that Father Stephen Kinney, I believe, was appointed the first full-time parish. But again, I congratulate you on your 40th anniversary. It's been a beautiful, beautiful thing to see you grow and mature spiritually into a very vital part of the Diocese of Memphis. And I wish you well as you move towards your 50th. God bless one and all.
Hi, I'm Deacon Bill Davis. I first went to St. Philip in 2001, which was a year after I'd been ordained to become pastoral administrator. I was assigned by Bishop Stibe and Monsignor Buchanany, who at that time was the pastor at St. Francis of Assisi. And the sacramental ministers also came from St. Francis. They filled in for Mass every Sunday. We only had one Mass at that time, which was on Sunday. And they were there faithfully. They rotated. We had 3 priests, and they rotated each week. And everything went very, very well, thanks to Monsignor. We did very well with the Hispanic community and all the quinceañeras and the various things we put on. We had a great time. They're joyful people. But anyway, when I first got there, of course, I replaced Sister Jean Dion, and she told me that the main thing I had to do was the hardest nut to crack would be that lady's gill. But they were a joy to be with, especially Dot Gervasi. That's who I had to crack first. But Dot fell in love with me, and it's been a love affair ever since. We had black chairs, table, I guess, meeting type chairs, whatever you call them. But anyway, I found out that Father Ernie had planned on remodeling, so I went to him, and he said I could have his beautiful burnt orange chairs. So anyway, he spread them out, though. I think the poor Claire's got some, I got some. It went all over the place. But anyway, that's when we first got chairs for the nave of the church. And we had those for about 2 years. And then we found out that Father Bruce was in the process of remodeling St. Ann Bartlett. And Ray Shawbrook, who most of you remember, was very instrumental in this plan. But he found a guy in Kentucky, and the guy came down, measured the church, measured the pews, took them all the way back to Kentucky, cut them, put new fabric on the seats, and brought them back and installed them. And we did that for a grand total of $18,000, which was about $80,000 cheaper than we could get new pews. So we scrounged a lot. And also during my tenure, we started a men's club. And I thought, well, since the ladies are so strong with the give, we need some competition. So we started the men's club, and it went really well. The men did almost as much as the women, with the exception of, well, they always supported them. And another big event, by the way, I've forgotten about, was the spaghetti supper. And that went on every year at a certain time, and Dot and the group would send out recipes, and everybody would say, okay, I'll cook sauce or gravy, whatever they called it, or in meatballs. And it had to be done just that way, because they put it in a big garbage can and mixed it together. That was the funny part. I saw that they had a paddle in a garbage can. I said, okay. Anyway, the health department didn't know about that. But anyway, we had the spaghetti suppers. They were very, very successful. And then we sold sauce and meatballs the Sunday following the spaghetti supper. So it went very, very well. But anyway, we were talking about the men's club. They eventually evolved into a chapter of the Knights of Columbus. And Council 9317 at St. Francis helped us to get started out here at St. Philip. And I do believe that Rolando Jasaba was the first Grand Knight. So, and they are off and running and doing a wonderful job now. So anyway, that's part of the things that happened while I was here.
I hope you enjoyed this video. As you can see, for the past 4 decades, this community has been believing, praying, worshiping, and living as Catholics in Fayette County. May God continue to bless St. Philip the Apostle Catholic Church. Here's to another 40.